This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Volkswagen's negotiations with German union IG Metall are not off to a good start. The union threatened to strike the automaker over its plans to potentially close plants in Germany, which would be a first in VW's history. IG Metall says the strikes could start at the beginning of December and that it wants a 7% pay raise for workers. VW says it needs to lay off workers because sales haven't recovered from the COVID pandemic and that it needs to cut costs to remain competitive in its push to EVs. Yesterday, VW CEO Oliver Blume said he expects significant concessions from unions. But with IG Metall digging in its heels and not wanting to compromise, we think strikes are on the way. Earlier this week, the U.S. government proposed rules to prohibit the import of hardware or software from China for connected and autonomous vehicles. And now Canada could follow suit. The country's finance minister said Canada is, quote, absolutely considering banning Chinese-made software for vehicles. The U.S. claims the hardware and software pose a national security threat because it could allow China to access and collect sensitive data and, quote, remotely manipulate cars on American roads. The U.S. proposal would ban software from China in 2027 and hardware in 2030 to give automakers time to find other suppliers. And the rule would apply to all vehicles used on public roads, with an exception for farming and mining vehicles. Rivian is launching a pre-owned program for its R1 truck and SUV. The company says this will expand ownership and, quote, make owning a Rivian accessible to more people. It began listing used vehicles on its website earlier this month. For example, an R1T with quad motors, a large battery pack, and with around 16,500 miles is listed for just over $62,000, not including shipping. A new one starts at $87,000. Rivian will also offer financing for its used vehicles, and this is an important step for Rivian. It will give current customers a place to sell their vehicles while also helping to improve residual values. Hyundai and Kia plan to unveil their first software-defined vehicles, or SDVs, in 2026, which will include their next-gen infotainment system as well. In an effort to enhance the integration between SDVs and smartphones and also increase the connectivity of their infotainment system, Hyundai and Kia are forming a new partnership with Samsung. Customers will be able to do things like global vehicle location and tracking, get services related to health and pet care, vehicle interiors, and more third-party apps. Better and more seamless integration between vehicles and smartphones is a growing consideration for car buyers, especially in China.
When we did our research for the talent that we need for this program, Michigan was really the top of the list. In order to be successful in this space, you really have to have the right people, the right mindset, the right environment.
About 3 years ago, Honda debuted a new off-road focused trim line called Trail Sport, which mostly started off as cosmetic upgrades, but it said that capability would grow over time. And I think we're starting to see its progression with the new Passport Trail Sport, which will go on sale in the U.S. early next year. It features a 3.5-liter V6 that's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission and Honda's second-gen all-wheel drive system with torque vectoring. And we bet there's even more upgrades based on what it's able to do in this teaser video. In fact, the company says the new Passport Trail Sport is the most capable Honda SUV ever. Uber partnered with BYD to bring EVs to its fleets in the Middle East, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. It's working with GM's autonomous unit Cruise to launch AVs in the US. And now Uber is joining forces with China's WeRide to offer Robotaxis in the United Arab Emirates or the UAE. They say they'll use WeRide's autonomous vehicles. And WeRide already operates in the UAE with GAC SUVs, Nissan sedans, and shuttles from a Chinese company called Yutong. It sounds like they plan to expand outside of the area, but Uber and WeRide say they will not go to the US or China. Gull-Wing doors add a sense of drama to any car design, which is why so many concepts use them. But Gull-Wing doors rarely make it into production because they bring a lot of baggage. They require more structure in the roof because that's where the hinges are, which adds mass and raises the center of gravity. They're also more prone to wind noise and water leaks. But they sure do look good and provide great access, which is why they're featured on a concept car from SAIC GM Wuling called the Light of ASEAN, which refers to the group of countries in Southeast Asia. The car, classified as a new energy vehicle, features dramatic, angular, and aerodynamic styling on the outside, while inside, the curved rear seat looks like a small sofa. SAIC GM Wuling want to increase its presence in the ASEAN markets, and dramatic concept cars are always a good way to generate attention. Automakers in China are experimenting with a lot of new ideas to entice customers to buy their cars. They have center screens that rotate from landscape to portrait mode, screens that slide from the center of the dashboard all the way over to the passenger sides, or avatars on top of the dashboard that talk to drivers using Gen AI. But here's a much simpler feature that caught our attention. Luxeed, which is a joint venture between Chery and Huawei, came out with an electric crossover called the R7. It has a 52-liter frunk, which is about 1.8 cubic feet, and the way you open that frunk is by knocking on the hood twice, just like you'd knock on someone's house door. REE Auto is the name of an Israeli company that's come up with an intriguing design for a commercial vehicle. It uses a skateboard architecture with corner modules bolted on that incorporate the steering, suspension, brakes, and electric motors. It's a really revolutionary way of building vehicles that gives designers a lot more freedom and flexibility for packaging. REE builds the corner modules at a facility in Coventry, England, and now we're going to get a chance to see if this design catches on, because REE just signed a deal with Roush Industries to start building trucks at one of Roush's plants in the Detroit area. If the demand is there, that facility could build 5,000 of REE's trucks a year, and production will start sometime in the fourth quarter of this year. That brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. MEDC, where Michigan businesses are powering the future of mobility. And by Teases Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teases Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Making a life full of memories, one road trip at a time. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Weatherpeak tires with a 70,000-mile limited warranty.